All right, folks, welcome back to the new Sentinel. I'm Major Ethan Graves, and as always, I'm joined by my partner in crime, Duke Johnson. Today, we're heading north, way north. We're talking about Greenland and why it's suddenly at the center of the world's attention. Duke, you ready to freeze your boots off?
Ha! You know me, Ethan. I'd rather sweat in the sandbox than freeze in the Arctic. But this one's too important to ignore. Greenland's not just a big chunk of ice anymore. The Pentagon just shifted it from EUCOM to NORTHCOM, so now it's officially part of our homeland defense, not just some NATO outpost. That's a big deal, man.
Yeah, and it's not just a bureaucratic shuffle. The Arctic's heating up, literally and strategically. Melting ice is opening up new shipping lanes, and there's a gold rush for resources, rare earths, oil, gas, you name it. Suddenly, Greenland's not just a map trivia answer, it's a front line.
And let's not forget, Greenland's smack between North America and Europe. That makes it prime real estate for missile warning, space surveillance, and all the logistics you need to move stuff around the Arctic. Patuxent Space Base, used to be Thule Air Base, is now under NORTHCOM. That's the northernmost U.S. military installation, and it's a linchpin for NORAD and Space Force ops.
You know, that reminds me, back in the Cold War, Thule was the canary in the coal mine. I had an old mentor who did a tour up there in the 80s. He said the radar dishes looked like something out of Star Wars, and the whole point was to catch Soviet bombers or missiles coming over the pole. After the wall fell, a lot of that gear just sat there rusting. But now, with the Arctic opening up, it's all coming back into play. Patuxent's not just a relic, it's a crown jewel again.
Yeah, and it's not just about nostalgia. The new command structure means we can move faster, coordinate better, and treat Greenland as part of our own backyard. That's a shift from alliance-based deterrence to direct territorial defense. It's a chess move, and the board just got a lot colder. And you know why we're making that move, right? Russia's been dusting off their old Arctic bases, putting hypersonic subs up there, flexing hard. China's calling itself a near-Arctic state, which is a joke, but they're throwing money around, trying to buy influence, build airports, get their hands on rare earths. It's a new Cold War, just with more ice and less vodka.
Yeah, and the U.S. isn't just sitting on its hands. We're upgrading radar, pouring billions into Patuxent, running Arctic edge exercises, and even sending rapid response units up there to train in the cold. It's about showing we're not going to let Russia or China get the upper hand at the top of the world.
But it's not all smooth sailing. Denmark's got skin in the game. They technically own Greenland, and they weren't thrilled about the U.S. making big moves without looping them in. There's some real risk of alliance friction. Denmark's worried about being sidelined, and Europe's watching us close, wondering if we're going to go cowboy up there.
Right, and you can't blame them. The Trump administration even floated the idea of buying Greenland outright, which didn't exactly win hearts in Copenhagen. But even after that fizzled, the U.S. has been ramping up its presence, reopening the consulate in Nuuk, investing in infrastructure, and blocking Chinese deals. It's a balancing act. Show strength, but don't break the alliance.
And let's be real, Ethan. There's a risk we overextend ourselves. The Arctic's brutal. Logistics are a nightmare, and every move costs a fortune. But if we don't step up, someone else will. That's the game now. Like we talked about in that DeepSeek AI episode, tech and territory are the new battlegrounds, and the Arctic's both.
But here's the twist. It's not just about the big powers. Greenlanders themselves are waking up to their leverage. They've got a history of being pushed around by outsiders. But now, with all this attention, they're realizing they can play the field, get the best deal for their people, not just be a pawn in someone else's game.
Yeah, and they're not shy about it. They want investment, but on their terms. They shot down Chinese mining deals, pushed back on foreign control, and they're making Denmark sweat a little too. There's a real sense of, hey, this is our island, and we're not just going to roll over.
And that's forcing the U.S. to work smarter. We're deepening ties with Canada and Denmark, trying to keep everyone on the same page, but also respecting Greenland's autonomy. It's a tightrope. Cooperate, but don't trample on local politics or sovereignty. Otherwise, we risk losing hearts and minds and maybe the whole strategic advantage.
You know, I did a deployment up near the Arctic Circle once. Not Greenland, but close enough to feel the cold in my bones. Let me tell you, operating up there is a different beast. Gear freezes, comms go down, and you can't count on anything working the way it does in the desert. The locals, Inuit, Greenlanders, they know the land, the ice, the weather. If you don't listen to them, you're toast. That's why local buy-in matters, not just for politics, but for survival.
That's a good point, Duke. The Arctic's not just another theater, it's a whole new kind of front line. As the ice melts and the world's eyes turn north, Greenland's got more power than ever before. The U.S. has to adapt, or risk getting left out in the cold. Literally and figuratively.
All right, that's a wrap for today. The Arctic's heating up, and so is the competition. We'll be watching how this plays out, and you can bet we'll be back with more. Ethan, always a pleasure, brother.
Same to you, Duke. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Stay sharp, stay curious, and we'll catch you next time on the new Sentinel. Take care, y'all.